What's going on, Niner fans? How we doing? How we feeling? I'm feeling a little better today. My voice still not the greatest, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk to y'all about the Niners. There's a lot of news today. There's so much because our general manager John Lynch spoke to the media and he gave us so many updates, and we're gonna talk about it all. What's good, everybody? Val, Deb, Steven, Peter Parker. What's good, everybody? It's a lot to talk about. I mean, let's just start with the easiest one to get off the board, because this one, pretty straightforward. The 49ers and Brock Purdy's reps have been starting contract negotiations. So that's a great news out of the way. John Lynch did say, they want to try to get it done. There's no guarantees, but he did say Brock Purdy is their guy. John Lynch says that the organization has started contract extension conversations with Brock Purdy. It's their guy. He says, there's no guarantees right now, but multiple times throughout the press conference, people have said, I was listening to Tracy Sandler, listening to other reporters, and they said he made it very clear that Brock Purdy is their future. So there's no controversy there. There's not going to be any drama. It seems like they've been on the same page since the offseason. I don't think this is going to go into very, training camp any farther than that. I really don't think this is going to go too crazy. I really think they've been on, a nice schedule here in the offseason. So I could see Brock Purdy's deal getting done by March or April. There's no other big quarterbacks that are going to stymie the market, right? Usually like last year, Brandon Aiyuk, there was other wide receivers and you were waiting to see who's going to set the market, right? Even with Deebo Samuel that year, all those wide receivers, Nick Bosa, there was other players who was going to stymie the market. Was Nick Bosa going to set the market? So I feel like this year, there's really no quarterbacks, right, that are going to stymie the market. Last year, Dak Prescott set the market for quarterback. So the market's set, so they can work within those margins. Brock says he wants to get it done quick. I think they're going to get it done quick, but it's good news to hear that Brock Purdy and the 49ers are having negotiations. So, yeah, I'm sounding a little better. So appreciate y'all for, the well wishes. Good news for Brock Purdy. I think that at the end of the day, they're going to get this done quick. I don't think he's going to drag out. And again, he's the guy, whether you like it or not. Brock Purdy is the future, and they want to make sure that that's known for free agents that are coming, for their rookies that are going to be coming. I mean, they don't have any say, but mainly for the free agents and for the rest of the players that are on this team that are like, hey, are we going to ride with the Niners or not? Brock's the guy. If they like Brock, they're going to go roll behind Brock Purdy. So my man says, Julia says, do you think they could get a contract done before the draft? I really do. New league years in a couple of weeks. Maybe sometime in March before the draft. I do think. But there is a lot to think about because the draft, they do have a lot of other people to, prioritize. And John did mention that several times, and we'll get into that. But he did say, there's other things that they got to take care of. A lot of decisions. Obviously, Brock's one of them. You got the Deebo Samuel situation now. You got Dre Greenlaw. You got George Kittle. You got Kyle Juszczyk. People don't realize that. He put a little update on that. Jake Moody. A lot of different options that they have to think about. Backup quarterback, things of that nature. So good stuff. And then the draft, right? The 49ers still have to meet with players. Like today, they've met with several players. A lot of players. You're going to hear 49ers met with Chuck Smith. The 49ers met with this, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if they meet with a lot of players, but there's key players that I'll be like, okay, I'll take a note of. Walter Nolan, he met with the 49ers. Defensive tackle from Ole Miss. He says he's a 49er fan. He grew up watching Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. It's a guy I want on my team. He's a really good defensive tackle. If he's there at 11, you take him. He's probably like a Quinnen Williams for Robert Saleh, right? So that's a guy that, you'd want to take. So those decisions also weigh heavily on the next couple of weeks, couple of months. And also, here's a cool fact. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, again, he's a Niner fan. He follows your boy on Instagram. He follows RSF40. I found out today. I went to his page, and it says follow back. I was like, I didn't know you followed me. I followed him back, sent him a message. I said, come to the Bay. He says, I hope so, bro. I was like, okay. So Walter Nolan is my new draft crush, by the way. But, yeah, so going back to what John Lynch said, Brock Purdy and the 49ers, match made in heaven. He wants him there for a very long time, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to continue with great news because I like good news better than bad news, right? Trent Williams, he's back and better than ever. He says he's healthy. He's motivated. Trent's ready. Trent's playing. So basically, Trent Williams is not retired. He's going to be back this year. And yeah, great news for us. And, we all wanted Trent Williams news. We were worried, is he going to retire? A lot of people have been saying it. But he's back. Trent Williams is going to be back this year. I'm going to get the full quote. So there was a lot of speculation that Trent Williams might retire. He's 37 at the start of the season. But, John Lynch confirmed that Williams plans to continue playing. He says Trent's plan. He's ready. I think he's really motivated to come back. When you're a player that has experience playing at those heights, you don't want to play unless you're at that level. And I think that's where he's at. And I think that we're going to see a real motivated Trent Williams to come back and have a great year. And that's a good thing for us. So I think this possibly might be the farewell season for Trent Williams. I mean, he's 37. He's had a lot of ups and downs, personally in his own life, right? Cancer, loss of children, et cetera, et cetera. So, at some point he's got to, step away from the game. But I think he's going to give us one more year. Hopefully he can ride it out and ride off in the sunset. Super Bowl at Levi Stadium would be amazing for him. So, good to know. I still think they need to make sure they get a left tackle or a tackle at some point that can replace Trent down the line. But it is nice to know that Trent Williams has come back because he's one of the best tackles in NFL history. So they still need to make sure they address that position because Trent Williams, he's great, but he ain't playing forever, right? If they're having speculation of retirement, it means the end is looming. Make sure Trent's there this year. He's healthy. He's motivated. Great. But make sure when he's done that you're not scrambling to find his replacement. So I think that's definitely a key this year. I still would draft an offensive lineman. Go throw him in at right tackle, maybe Will Campbell or whatever. And then next year, if Trent retires, you can move him, take over Trent's spot. That's what I would do. But again, it depends on who's available at the draft. And if top flight offensive tackle's not there, that's when I say you go and get, one of those defensive tackles that we had just mentioned, right? So it really depends, right? So it's all going to be dependent on who is available. And, if the 49ers can't get a great offensive lineman, then a player like Walter Nolan would make sense. But I think the biggest key is if they go for that offensive line, the tackle, the premium tackle. That's such a blue chip position. If you can get like a 5-star player at that position, especially to make sure you have the heir apparent to Trent Williams, you do it 10 times over. So that's kind of where my head is at. But it's great news to know that Trent Williams will be back this year. Some more news. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey is reportedly doing great. He's doing really well. He's expected to be ready for at least parts of the offseason program. He's not going to be like fully integrated into it. They want to be very careful, is what John Lynch is saying. So here's more about Christian McCaffrey. He says Lynch was asked if McCaffrey would be ready for the 49ers offseason program. He says, I think so. I think at least parts of it. We'll just be judicious and follow the medical folks' advice. But Christian, he's done a great job doing the rehab. He's tireless. If anything, he's always got to say whoa to Christian. Christian is a whoa guy because he's going to do everything possible to give himself a chance. So I know a couple of weeks ago, his dad during Super Bowl week was like, oh, he's ready. He's 100%. He's going to be ready full steam. His dad's going to hype him up. That was the report a few weeks ago. He's 100% ready. John Lynch is looking at it from a business standpoint and also a medical standpoint, saying, hey, maybe our team hasn't cleared him, but he will be there for the offseason program. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to throw him out there and just go too crazy. So they're going to be very careful with him. They're going to let, the medical team, and they're going to let safety kind of predicate with Christian McCaffrey. But he should be ready. They said he's doing well. That's a good thing. We've seen that Christian McCaffrey's training through his Instagram. He seems locked in. So John Lynch does say that Christian McCaffrey is trending in the right direction. So that's good news. We always like to hear good news. So far we got good news for Christian McCaffrey, good news for Trent Williams, and we got good news for Brock Purdy. So far, so good. The news has been great today. A couple more big updates, right? So before we get to Deebo Samuel, I want to kind of talk about Brian Griese, 49ers former quarterback coach Brian Griese. He stepped away from coaching to spend time with family. We knew yesterday that he was no longer on the roster as far as coaching or on the coaching staff. He was replaced by Mick Lombardi. So questions were starting to circulate. People are like, why is he not there? Did he get fired? Did he just quit? Like, what happened? There was a couple weeks ago where he was supposed to interview for the Jets job and he turned it down. So it looks like he just decided he didn't want to coach anymore this year. He says it's for family reasons. Also, according to the reports, John Lynch said that he encouraged him to go get the Jets position. Go take the interview. Go. If you don't have to, it's okay. You don't have to be here. But he says, look, I would be disingenuous to interview for another team if I told you guys I don't want to coach in 2025. So he's a really good guy, great character guy. As you know, Eric Branch pointed out yesterday that he had Brock Purdy as the highest graded quarterback of that draft class. He was the last pick taken, and of course, the rest is history. But you got to love Brian Griese. He coached 3 years for the 49ers as quarterback coach. He seemed like a very nice guy, very humble guy. He really loved the team, and he says, look, I'm done with coaching this year, family issues. He wants to be closer to his family. They live in Denver. He's in San Francisco. I'm sure it was a strain, with kids and everything. So good for him. Really nice guy. He helped the 49ers get their franchise quarterback. He's a good guy. Can't say anything about him. So let's see. Did you find out the Griese news while you were live with Kruger? Yeah, yesterday we were live with Kruger, and the news kind of came out. Matt Barrows and Eric Branch had tweeted it as we were kind of live, and we, posted that. And then today, of course, John Lynch talked a little bit more about it, and he did say it was family issues. Yesterday, we had found out that he just stepped away from coaching, and then today he clarified everything. So, it was pretty cool to put a bow tie to it all, because I was like, whoa, how's he not on the coaching staff? What happened? A lot of people thought he got fired. I was like, whoa, no, he doesn't seem like a guy that would get fired. He seems like a really good, down to earth guy. So good for Griese. He's going to step away and spend time with his family. Good for him. Maybe he'll come back at some point. He's a good football mind. So moving forward, John Lynch discussed one Deebo Samuel. We all know that he basically said he's going to grant Deebo Samuel his trade request. He says, look, man, at the end of the day, Deebo Samuel, he wants a fresh start. He goes, we don't like it. We don't like trading away good players, but it's what he wants, and we're going to honor those wishes, as best as we can. So good stuff. It's going to be the end of an era. It really is the end of an era. I know a lot of people have kind of soured on Deebo Samuel, but he says they're on good terms. And I think it's what we've kind of been saying here on my channel, at least, that it's what both sides needs. They need a fresh start. Deebo needs a fresh start, right? John Lynch says we're on good terms with Deebo. He asked for a fresh start, and I think we're going to honor that. Like, at the end of the day, Deebo Samuel, he's a big-time player. He's been a star player for this team. He helped this team in many, many, many years, for getting them to the NFC Championship. He put the team on his back in 2021. We all know that. Injuries and things have kind of, derailed him a little bit, and he wants one more year to kind of go somewhere and show I'm still a really good player. And I think it's good for him to get a fresh start. Again, fans have kind of soured on him. The team, and they don't necessarily need him if he's slowing down and getting injured. So go to another team, and I think it's best for both parties. Now, John Lynch did say it's not out of the blue that it's not like out of the question that he might be able to come back. He goes, I wouldn't, say it's not going to happen. Like most likely they're getting rid of Deebo, trading him or cutting him or whatever, but they're going to give him the opportunity to go find a trade and see if you can find a team. Now, if nothing happens, if nothing materializes and they don't cut him, yeah, maybe he'll stay on the team this year. That's a very small likelihood, but anything can happen is what basically John Lynch said. And John Lynch did say that there's a lot of well, not a lot, but he did say that there's been a lot of interest around the league. He did say there's been a lot of interest. So teams are looking into Deebo Samuel. I said it the other day on Larry's show, because he says, oh, I don't believe the report that there's a lot of interest. Now, it could be GM speak. It could be, John Lynch blowing smoke and saying, oh, yeah, we got a lot of people to kind of, smoke season, right, to build up his interest, hype him up. But I'm telling you, I really think there's teams out there, and they look at Deebo, they're like, no, okay, maybe he's, had some bad injuries. Maybe he's kind of fell apart from the 49ers. The marriage is over. But if they know if they can get him and he's in good mental state and he's healthy, he can go out there and he's going to be so hungry to prove himself to another team. There's teams that are desperate for wide receivers. There's teams that have nobody at wide receiver. I'm telling you, man, teams like the New England Patriots, they got money to spend. They don't have any wide receivers. You need a weapon for Drake May. There's teams out there. Look at OBJ was still getting contracts at 33, 34 years old, and he's way past his prime. There's teams that are going to pay for players that have the name. Julio Jones for years was getting paid, and he was so past his prime. We see it every year. DeAndre Hopkins is now in that mix of washed-up wide receiver that still gets big contracts. And Deebo Samuel is the next line. He's 29. He's still got a little juice in him. Teams will want Deebo Samuel. So whether the 49er fans want him or not, doesn't matter to other teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they'd use him. So my man, let's see. Wish him the best. Christine says Deebo is going to regret leaving. I don't think he is. I think he's happy to be gone, and he really needs a fresh start. I'm telling you, I don't think he's going to regret it. Maybe because if the 49ers win a Super Bowl and they do all this great stuff, he might look back and say, damn, I wish I would have stayed. But I think mentally, man, he's so out of this play. He's so zoned out with the Niners. But if they win a Super Bowl and Deebo's not on a team, yeah, he'll probably regret that. He'll probably be like, oh, shit, man, I should have stayed with these guys. So we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, Deebo Samuel, John Lynch, he's like said, look, man, we're going to honor it. We love the guy, but this is what he wants. We're not going to hold him hostage. We're not going to hold him hostage. I like that John Lynch is saying, hey, look, man, it is what it is. It's a business. Player doesn't want to play for me. I'm not going to hold him hostage. I'm not going to sit here and force him to play on the Niners. If he doesn't want to be here, go, man. But, again, is there a possibility that he comes back and he plays next year? There is. There's no ill feelings. I think that's the biggest thing that John Lynch said is, hey, man, no ill feelings, no ill will. It is what it is, baby. It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to harbor any ill will. We're not going to have any bad feelings. It's, it just didn't work out. And both parties want to separate. It's like a divorce. Sometimes it doesn't work out and you got to separate your own ways. And sometimes it's best for everybody in both, that's involved. So, Deebo doesn't have a side chick. Niners don't have a side chick, a side what. They're going to go and figure things out. The Niners will get another receiver. Deebo will go to another team. And everything will be right in the world. So there you go. Good news for him. And a couple of big updates here. George Kittle, John Lynch did confirm that the team has had extension talks with George Kittle's reps. And the team wants him to retire as a 49er. I think we all do. If anybody has to retire as a 49er, it's got to be George freaking Kittle. If this guy doesn't return as a Niner or retire as a 49er, I think we'll all be disgusted. Like, that's crazy work. So they are trying to get him back. George Kittle said this a few weeks ago on the Up and Adams show during the Super Bowl week, and John Lynch confirmed it. He says, yeah, the team is trying to get an extension. Now, John Lynch did say the issue will be timing because the team has other big business to handle. Like we mentioned earlier, Brock Purdy, it's kind of big business. You got the draft, it's kind of big business. But they do want to make sure they bring back George Kittle. This is what he said. He says, bringing back George Kittle, that's something we all want to see become a reality. George Kittle retiring as a Niner. We all want to see it become a reality. John Lynch knows it. The franchise knows it. The players know it. Everybody from the janitor at Levi Stadium knows it. Everybody wants George Kittle to retire a 49er. And I know George Kittle wants to. He said it himself. I don't think there's going to be any issues. This deal might not be done until like later in the offseason. That's the only thing. I don't think it's going to get done anytime soon. I think this one's going to be one of those like right before training camp type deal. Remember when Christian McCaffrey got his deal last year? Probably the same because they got a lot of other things to take care of. And George Kittle's not on the top of the list. He's somewhere around there. But, they're going to do it. He's just not at the top of the list. So Wi-Fi says the only person that can use Deebo correctly is Mike McDaniel. I think so, too. I think Miami would be a good fit for Deebo. If he wants to be used 100% like he's used with the Niners, I think Miami would be a good spot. Rick says, who's going to lead the tunnel walk with Trent? Nobody. They're done, retired. I don't want to see any damn Niner running out the tunnel until they win at least 5 straight games or something. I don't want to see the tunnel walk anymore. It's over. That thing's done. It's over. Deebo, if Deebo's done, he can take the tunnel walk with them. I know Trent's there, but it's just need to retire the tunnel walk. It's over, man. That thing lost its aura. People laugh at us because if we lose and we walk out the tunnel, we look like idiots. Stop it. Just focus on winning games. No more tunnel. Boombox guy needs to be retired. It's over. I don't want to see any more boombox. No more. Maybe at the Super Bowl. Maybe at the Super Bowl. If you get to the Super Bowl, you can do your tunnel walk. That's the only time you can do your tunnel walk. Is if you make it to the Super Bowl, okay, you earned the right to walk out that tunnel with the boombox. Okay. Otherwise, I don't want to see that shit every week. That's it. Bottom line. That's it. That's my take. Yeah, Deebo taking that boombox 100%, Christine. Or David says he's taking the boombox. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, George Kittle, good news. Dre Greenlaw news. Let's talk about Dre Greenlaw. 49ers general manager John Lynch says contract talks have been ongoing with Dre Greenlaw, and the hope is that a deal can be struck before free agency. However, Greenlaw may test the market first. So the thing is, they're working, they're trying to hammer a deal out. John Lynch doesn't want him to hit the free agent market because he knows he's probably going to test it and see what his value is. Now, he might come back to the Niners and say, okay, I didn't like the value I got. Let me come back. So John Lynch says, hopefully we come to an agreement. We've been having very good talks, so we can see if we can progress it. So basically, they have been talking. It looks like it's going in the right direction, but Dre Greenlaw could possibly test the market first. Like, he might test the free agency market before he makes a final decision. He might have to if he wants the best dollar, because the Niners may say, here's what we're going to offer you. Here it is. And then Dre Greenlaw said, hold that thought. Let me go see what this team wants to offer me. This team offers me. This team offers me. And if it's not worth his while, maybe he'll come back to the Niners. So the Niners are trying to hammer that down. John Lynch wants him back. Robert Saleh wants him back. The fans want him back. Nick Bosa wants him back. Everybody wants Dre Greenlaw back. So they're going to try. But the problem is the number. How much do you pay a guy coming off of that Achilles tear, right? Last year he played one game. Then he got shut down. Was it precautionary? Was it because the injury flared up? It's hard to determine what it really was. The season was kind of out of the way anyways. It was done. Do you want to keep risking him play? Do you just shut him down and say it was the injury flared up just to, let the media have some type of answer? I don't know. I don't know what was going on with that injury, but it's still a big injury to come back from and, for a team to commit to long term. It's still a risk. I love Dre Greenlaw, but I could see them walking away if he gets more money in the free agency market than they're willing to pay him. So this is going to be a tough one. Although John Lynch does say they are working towards it. They love the guy. Obviously, they love the guy and they want him to come back, but it's up in the air. I'm up in the air. I love Dre Greenlaw. We all love Dre Greenlaw. We want him back. So we'll see. See how it goes. Moving on. Brandon Aiyuk, they say his ACL is recovering well. We've seen videos of him. He looks like he's moving a lot better. Obviously he's off the boot and the crutch and everything like that. So that's great news. John Lynch did say he's not making any declarations on when Brandon Aiyuk will return. So there's no timetable still to return. He said he's doing well, but he has a benchmark check in coming up soon with doctors, and will give a better indication of how far along Aiyuk is in his recovery. So every couple weeks, every couple months, there's certain benchmark criteria players have to meet when they have injuries, and I don't know, like deadlift 300 pounds, I'm just making it up. Like if the player can run 100 feet without pain, or if they can deadlift 20, reps of 300 pounds, or, do 20 jumping jacks without pain. I don't know. There's certain criteria. Whatever the criteria that Brandon Aiyuk has to reach is going to be determined. And that kind of tells you how far along they are in that recovery process. So if it's like, if he's having setbacks, if he's recovering well, it'll kind of gauge when maybe he can return, if he's progressing towards the right, path, and if he's on schedule. So there's no timetable. They're saying it's doing good. So far there's no setbacks, but John Lynch doesn't want to put a timetable on it, because if he says he'll be back for the first week of the season, he's not, people are going to be like, oh, well, you said. Also, it's smart, because there have been trade talks with Brandon Aiyuk. You don't want to sit there and put too much information, because sometimes too much information is not good information, because then let's say, I don't know, just throwing this out there. Let's say the Steelers are like, hey, what's up with Brandon Aiyuk? Oh, when's he supposed to come back? Oh, he's supposed to come. You don't want to falsify that. You don't want to tell him, you just want to say, hey, we don't know yet. He's got a benchmark check. You tell that to teams, and now they know because teams have been checking in. And they see the press conference today, and they're like, okay, he's got a benchmark check. He's doing well. We'll keep that noted. Noted. Now, if John Lynch would have said, oh, well, he's not doing good. He's got a benchmark check, but he's probably 3 weeks behind schedule. Teams are going to be, oh, no, shit. Wait. Hang up. You never know. It's always, at the end of the day, it's always a business. And you have to put business in front of everything. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Sleeper at 11, Tyler Warren. Yeah, I like Tyler Warren. I'm not gonna hate that pick if they go with Tyler Warren. Yeah, I see that. I've seen that. A lot of people say that. So we'll see. So a couple more updates. This is the one that got a lot of fans in a tizzy. You guys ready for this? And this one has people sick to their stomach. Okay. Okay, let's talk about this one. Okay. The team still has a lot of belief in 49ers kicker Jake Moody. And they feel that the injury was a large part of the struggles. This is according to John Lynch. The team has noted to have honest discussions with Jake. Now, this is crazy. So, John Lynch, I got the exact statement of everything he said. It was on 49er Web Zone, and they posted it. Now, this is crazy. So, John Lynch on Jake Moody's struggles and consulting with soccer teams. But they consulted with soccer teams because of the damn injury, okay? So, this is what John Lynch said. He says, we've had really honest discussions with Jake, and I know that's a hot button. We still have a lot of belief in him, and we believe that the high ankle sprain injury had a lot to do with that. And we maybe kick ourselves for letting him come back from the injury. So they think he came back too early. What the hell were you thinking? And then he goes, I think it's an odd injury. We consulted with soccer teams. We consulted with everyone because it's a hard deal. It's a kicker. How's that affect you? He says, but like I said, we have a belief in Jake that he will rise to the top. So that's something to keep tabs on. If we do decide to bring someone in, but we're very hopeful that Jake, what we had envisioned for him, is still very possible. So John Lynch is saying, look, Jake fucking sucks, but it's probably because of this high ankle sprain. We asked soccer players. We asked Mia Hamm. We asked Pelé. We asked Ronaldinho. We asked Messi. What the hell can we do with this man's ankle? It hurts. It hurts. And Ronaldo said, spray the water on it. Spray the water on it. I don't know. Maybe that's what they told him. And he came back from injury, and he still sucks. So John Lynch says, look, he's such a good player. We love Jake Moody, but we're probably going to bring somebody in. We're going to bring somebody in, and we think he's going to beat that player we bring in. That's just another way of John Lynch saying, like, this guy sucks, but we don't want to admit it. We're going to bring somebody in. If he could beat him in a competition because we drafted him in third round, he should. But if he doesn't, hit the bricks, man. Go play with Messi in the San Jose Earthquakes. They might be hiring. They have the San Jose Earthquakes. Maybe he can go and become a forward or a midfielder for the San Jose Earthquakes because they might need him. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. My man Rick says Jake from State Farm is greater than Jake Moody. They called up Deadpool. At least Lynch and Shanahan owed up to their actions by saying they brought him back too early. I do like that, MSQ. He did say that he probably shouldn't have been brought back because of the injury. But you should then you know. Why are you bringing players back? You're bringing players back too early. I don't like that. But he did admit to that. That whole situation sucks. Like, they consulted soccer players, soccer teams. Can you imagine? He called up like Ronaldo. Yo, Ronaldo, it's John Lynch. What do we do? Well, they do own, Premier League teams. They have a Premier League. I'm sure that they talk to everybody, like the doctors on their Premier League teams that they run and they own. I guarantee you they talked to some of those Premier League teams and they consulted them. The soccer players get injuries too, like high ankle sprain. They play. Why can't Jake Moody play? So my man Peter Parker says they make all these moves to make us believe they're fixing their mistakes. Got us thinking they're growing up, and then this. That's the one, man. They have made moves, but they just sometimes they get a little stuck. Like sometimes they hold on to players for too long. Jalen Hurd, they held on to him. Solomon Thomas, they held on to player for too long, and it catches up with them. Jalen Hurd is a prime example. Dante Pettis, they should move on from certain players, but they don't. So Jake Moody, you gotta cut the cord, man. I don't know, you gotta cut the cord. It's unfortunate, but he's just not a good player. The pressure got to him. He was already drafted with so much pressure on his shoulders because you draft a kicker in the 3rd round. I'm sorry, you have an exponential amount of pressure on your shoulders to perform. Kickers already have a lot of, shoulder or pressure on their shoulders because it's a kicker. You have one job. If you miss it, people are going to hate you. Now put in the fact that you're a 3rd round kicker that they could have drafted so many other players. They're going to hate you. They should never have drafted a kicker in the 3rd round. Bottom line. And now Jake Moody is public enemy number 1. People hate him. You guys all hate everybody that's a Niner. Not everybody. The majority of Niner fans, they cannot stand Jake Moody. Even John Lynch said it's a hot button topic. He knows it. He knows talking about Jake Moody is going to go sensational. It's not what people want to hear. Not people want to hear. My man Rick says, didn't Ocho Cinco have a whole segment on this, rushing players back after coming back from injury? Yeah, it's a lot of people have had this segment. A lot of people have talked about. I've talked about it myself. Why would you rush players back? And the 49ers, I feel like they try to because they're pressured to win. So sometimes they do bring players back. Deebo, I know people have soured on him, but he's come back a little earlier than, we thought he might. Kittle, a lot of players come back early. A lot of times on Niners. So Jake Moody shouldn't have come back. If you have an ankle sprain and you're a fucking kicker, that's what you need. You need to kick with your foot. Your ankle is connected. It's all connected. How are you going to go out there and kick footballs when your ankle is all torn up? And then mentally, you're going to be screwed up. You just got to let him go, man. Cut the cord. So that was the Jake Moody update. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the big one. So a couple other things that were mentioned today. John Lynch did talk about. Let's go over these. So he did talk about former 2nd round draft pick Drake Jackson, who missed last season due to knee surgery. He had off-season surgery. John Lynch says it's been a tough injury, those quad tendon repairs, and that's why you've got to really think long and hard, pause, before you have that surgery, because it doesn't just make it go away. I guess Drake has had, not setbacks, but just trouble coming back from it. He goes, so it's not been the most encouraging thing. Hopefully it takes a turn for the positive, because we've seen Drake, when he's healthy, he can be a real effective player for us. So we're crossing our fingers and putting in all the work, as is Drake, that happens. So they're basically saying Dre's knee is cooked. I hope that he can come back because he is a good player when he's healthy, but he hasn't been healthy. And the knee injury has not really come back to where they wanted it, unfortunately. He's had trouble coming back from the knee injury, the surgery he had, quad tendon repair. It's a rough one, man. So I think that John Lynch is basically saying the writing is on the wall that Drake Jackson's probably not going to be back after this season. They're going to give him a chance. They're going to put him on the roster. He's going to get a chance to go out there and see if he can make this final roster. But I wouldn't be surprised if Drake Jackson is going to be gone from the team after this year, when season starts. So it's unfortunate. Good guy, good player. I've talked to him many times, talked to his family, his dad, love the guy. Met him at the Super Bowl. I met him at a game before. Super nice man. His family's amazing. But the injuries, sometimes those type of injuries, you never know. He could come back. He could come back. Javon Kinlaw went through so many knee injuries. He finally came back. Solomon Thomas. Again, the Niners give players 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 90 chances to make it because they really believe in these guys. They give them opportunities. So they're going to give him a chance, but the knee is really cooked, is what John Lynch is saying. So we'll see. Week 1 sack leader 2 years back. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people forgot about him. 49ers GM John Lynch also spoke on the future of Kyle Juszczyk. This is a touchy subject right now because a lot of people, I posted this, they don't want to accept reality. So let's hear what John Lynch had to say. He says, Juice is a great player, and he's been really valuable to us. So he's part of us. We'll see. We're thinking of a lot of things right now. We're trying to make everything work and have some tighter constraints than we've had in the past. I don't know about you, but that does not sound convincing that they're going to bring Juice back this year. I think it sounds like he's a cap casualty. Kyle Juszczyk's probably gone. Just reading that takeaway from John Lynch. He's a good player. He's part of us. We'll see. We're trying to make everything work, but we have tighter constraints than we've had in the past. Tighter constraints. That means their pockets are a little deeper. They had to make him take a pay cut last year, and he did not like it. He didn't know. Kyle Juszczyk, remember he was on NBC Sport. Oh, I did not like to take a pay cut. My wife makes more money than me now. Type vibe. It's probably going to be a cap casualty is the vibe I'm getting. I think John Lynch is making it a little easier for fans to, if you read between the lines, Kyle Juszczyk's probably going to be gone, unless he takes a big pay cut. Debbie says, I will miss Juice if he goes. I think we all will. He's a great player, but you can't justify paying him $3, $4, $5 million for not really being productive. I mean, I know he blocks. Everybody say he blocks. But if you're just paying him to block, okay, pay him $1 million to go out there and block, run some cardio. Because he's not really productive in terms of, a pass catcher, which then you're saying, oh, throw him the ball more. But they have you got Juwan Jennings, you got Brandon Aiyuk, George Kittle. You got all these weapons. He's what, 5th, 6th option? You're not going to pay the 5th, 6th option that much. So you got to make some cuts, some constraints, like John Lynch said. You want to pay Brock Purdy money. You want to pay Nick Bosa money. You want to pay George Kittle money. You want to pay Fred Warner money. Somebody's got to take a little less. Unless somebody's Kyle Juszczyk. And if he doesn't want to, hit the bricks, soldier. That's it. That's it. Hey, Peter Park says, ever since I've been following along with you, Raj, I love when John and Kyle try to cap us with these injuries. But we got Dr. Raj on our side. He kept, I call him out. Every time I call him out, and then people are like, well, I don't know, Raj. And then about 85%, 90% of the time I'm right. They're wrong. I'm always like, well, I don't know. Always try to deke us with these injury news. They really do. They can't pass it on me. They can't fool me. So a couple more. Jordan Mason, 49ers running back. Let's talk about, let me pull up this update on Monsieur Jordan Mason. So let's see what he had to say about Senor Mason. Okay. So running back Jordan Mason, we all know, is set to become a restricted free agent. 49ers must decide whether to tender him on a one-year deal. Mason filled in admirably for the injured Christian McCaffrey. I think we all can agree with that. This is what the article said, according to 49er Web Zone, but this is what John Lynch said. And he says, he played really well, and that's an interesting situation. There's a decision to make. And then he goes on about all the different tenders. He says, you can low tender him. He wasn't drafted, so he can get nothing if someone makes an offer. If you don't match, you can do the second round tender, which guarantees a lot more money to the player. So there's a bunch of different dynamics. Or you can just agree to a deal. Just say, hey, look, this is the deal. No tender, none of this is the deal. Or so there's different options, right? There's different round tenders. Like one, I think the first round tender is like $7 million. Second round tender is like $5 million. And then the third round tender is a low tender, is like $3 million. But if the first two options get matched by another team and they take them, you get a first or second round draft pick, the tender, based on the tender you make. So there's a lot to discuss. So I think Kyle basically say, look, we're trying to figure out which tender we want to give him. If at all, we're going to give him a tender. Because again, they might just offer him a straight up deal. So you can he goes, there's a number of different options we're exploring. So they're still trying to determine if they're going to bring back Jordan Mason 100%. They don't know. Obviously, you have Isaac Orendo. Elijah Mitchell's going to be a free agent too. Do you bring him back? probably going to be cheaper, but can the man even stay on the field? Probably not. You have Isaac Guerrero, who is a good rookie, but he's got some injury. All your running backs are going to be injury concerns because it's the way it is with the 49ers. You need depth. Jordan Mason was good. He might be a little bit more than they can chew because they got all these other things we talked about. Greenlaw, Kittle, Brock Purdy, yada, yada, yada. Maybe they draft a running back because it'll be cheaper. If they don't bring back Jordan Mason, they're not bringing back Elijah Mitchell, and they're going to draft 2 running backs, one in the draft and then maybe one undrafted. So I think that's what they have to really determine is, do they believe bringing back Jordan Mason is smart money, or should they just go chase a rookie? Because they also have to determine, is Christian McCaffrey going to be healthy enough this season? So there's a lot that goes into this with the running back decision. You have Isaac Guerrero. How good do they think he could be in his second year? How effective is he going to be in this playbook? Christian McCaffrey, is he going to be Christian McCaffrey again? Because if not, you need Jordan Mason. He was really good last year when he took the reins over as the lead back. But then he did get hurt because he's never had to do that. So you need depth no matter how you slice it. They're still trying to figure out the Jordan Mason situation. I do think they're going to get a running back in this draft, whether it be in the draft, like the 7 rounds, or undrafted, or both. They're going to get someone. So, yeah, Elijah Mitchell is too fragile. So, Junior said, let's take a look at some of these comments since we've been spatting out of the mouth here. Junior says, I think Juice is gone. However, it opens up other opportunities to weapons to be on the field. Yeah, I think he's going to be gone, but, got to get younger. And that's one thing that John Lynch said is it's all about getting young and drafting players. He was really happy about last year's draft class. Let's talk about that. So John Lynch did say, look at this. He says, at some point you have to reset a little bit or at least recalibrate. You can't just keep pressing the pedal. And I think there's some good that can come out of that. We need to get younger. So it's just, he's telling us some of these players got to go. We love them, but you got to go. You got to get younger. He goes, I think we're the oldest team in football, trying to make a run at the deal last year, and I think it's good to constantly get younger. He says our draft class last year was a great move towards that. We'll have 4 picks in the top 100. If the top picks happen again, like we see it, that's always a calculation. We'll have 10 picks overall, and we're excited about adding more youth to a great group of players that we already have. That is fantastic. That's a great quote that they have. They have 4 picks in the top 4, and they could potentially have 10 overall picks with the comp picks and everything formulated. 10 picks. They have to get younger. You absolutely have to get younger. At some point, you can't just have people that are close to my age running around the league. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get tender joints. You're going to get joint stiffness, arthritis. You can get muscle, soft tissue injuries. You got to get younger, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to, tell you that Juice is not going to be here, but some players got to go. And if you're older, you got to go at some point. And I'm not saying that he can't play still. Great player, but he's getting a lot of money. You can cut that and get a younger player. And that draft class they had last year, if they can get 80% of what they did last year, oh my God. Last year's draft class was a home run, man. So, what's up, Renee? But, yeah, that's the point John was trying to prove today. And he did say there's a lot of talent this year in the draft class. He says there's no denying that it's laden with defensive lineman talent. He says it's strong in the quality and the numbers. It's encouraging. You watch the Super Bowl, the Eagles were really, really good up front. Made a difference. It made the difference in my mind in that game. It's something we had the year before. They couldn't block us up front in the game versus Kansas City, the Super Bowl, for whatever reason. We didn't sustain it as well because we didn't get the lead properly. But he does put a big emphasis on defensive line. So as you keep coming back to the draft, I think the Niners will definitely look to bolster that D-line and O-line. But I really think they want to go back to business and get that menacing front defensive line. So, like we talked about Nolan, I mean, there's just going to be dogs that the 49ers get that they've been missing. They just haven't had that intimidating presence up on the front line of defense. And he's right. You watch that Super Bowl, God, the Eagles were wrecking shot. How many times have you seen Mahomes running for his life like that? We've never seen it. Like, we've never seen it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not going to be a Patrick Mahomes hater. I know we don't like the Chiefs and stuff, but he's a great player. And he usually dissects teams. He usually never gets touched or pressured. Eagles were on his ass. And John Lynch is right. You have to bolster the defensive talent. And there's a lot of young talent in this draft. And you got to get rid of some older players. Hargrave, you go. Players got to go. Get the young studs, man. It's a young man's game. But that's what John Lynch told us today. It was a lot of good news. A lot of great updates. It was great. John Lynch, he said, look, basically, Brock Purdy, he's our guy. We're figuring it out. We're already doing contract negotiations. George Kittle, we want him to be a Niner forever. We're figuring it out. Trent Williams, he's back. He's not retiring. He's good to go. CMC, he'll be back, but we're going to be cautious. Deebo, he gone. Brandon Aiyuk, I don't know when he's coming back. We're not going to put a timeline on it because he may not be back for a long time this season. Who knows? Jordan Mason, he might be gone. Kyle Juszczyk, he gone, but you got to accept it. What else? That's pretty much the gist of what he said today. And Brian Greasy, he wanted to go with his family. So I think he gave us all the updates we've been really searching for. I think he kind of answered everything. I don't know if there's any more questions. I'm sure he'll address it at some point. But I think he did a good job of giving us all the information that we have been dying to know. Oh, and yeah, he did tell us that Jake Moody's still heavily favored. The only thing I had an issue with today, the whole day, like all the news was great. I think everything lined up to what I've been saying. But Jake Moody, man, they give this man so many chances. They coddle Jake Moody. They baby him. They hold his hand. I don't know what it is, but Jake Moody seems to get special, attention. He gets special treatment. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if you guys feel that. But Jake Moody, man, this guy is I don't know. He's soft. They treat him like a baby. Man. Yes, sciatica's no joke, said Junior. Yeah. That's good, Jimmy. Yeah, that's my biggest complaint is that they still believe in Jake Moody. Give it up. He's done. Now, they did say that they're probably going to bring in somebody, right? John Lynch did kind of hint they're going to bring in someone, and it's going to be a competition. And they believe Jake Moody can beat out whoever in competition. He ain't beating anybody unless you bring in me to be the kicker. Like if they bring in Raj from RSF 49ers, oh my God, and I go and compete against Jake Moody, I'm going to make him look good. And then everybody's going to think he's good. Don't bring in a bum. I hope they don't bring in, if they bring in a bum-ass kicker to compete with Jake Moody just to give him confidence, I would be so mad because I could see them doing that. I could see them doing, we're going to bring in like a dog water, as the young kids might say, a really mid kicker, right? They'll bring in a decent, not even a good kicker, but he's going to lose the competition to Jake Moody. And then Jake Moody's confidence is going to be I don't want them to do that. Go bring in a good kicker. If you can't beat in a good kicker, get out of this team, and then we'll have the good kicker. Bring it. That's what I want. MSQ says, I know Moody ain't all that, but the hate is cool. Yo, they hate Jake Moody. If you put a top 3 list of most hated players in the Bay right now, Jake Moody, Deebo Samuel, you can flip them 1 and 2. I don't know who else be on that list, but you could probably put those 2 on there. Maybe, I don't know, if any other teams have any hated players, but those 2 probably be top 2. Michigan curse, says Debbie. Yeah, Michigan curse. What do you got? Ronnie Bell, Jake Moody, Ambry Thomas. Jeez, be bad. All bad. Yeah, we'll see. But in any case, ladies and gentlemen, that's the news. John Lynch dropped a lot of great gems today, and I felt like recapping it. So I'm finally home now. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day. If you have any other questions, let's tweet away or, message me, whatever. But we'll be live if there's any more updates. Hopefully we get some more news here in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we will because free agency's just around the corner. You guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you, John Lynch, for all the great news. And, yeah, anyways, you guys take care. Oh, last question from Junior. He says, what's up with Hargrave? I hope his bum ass is gone. They did address Hargrave that they're going to do a post-June 1st cut. And then after that, they hope he can resign if he wants to, but they're going to cut his salary because it's taken up a lot of space. So Hargrave's probably gone unless he comes back for a very small amount of money. but I think they'll cut him and he won't come back. So Hargrave, he gone. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to go rest. Got to go drink some tea and get better because I'm on the road to recovery. But we're almost there. I got a better timeline than Brandon Aiyuk. Anyways, have a good night. Peace.